Hey there traders, thanks for joining me for this free video, and in this session we're going to just take a quick look at the indices as we come off a real interesting week of trading and head into another one that's likely to be equally unpredictable. Now last week we saw Hurricane Sandy really disrupt things in the Northeast, not only for the exchanges, keeping them closed on Monday and Tuesday, but also the lives of individuals up there, and they definitely are still on the thoughts and minds and prayers of people who have not had to experience things like that of late. So if that's impacted you or family or friends, definitely you're in everyone's thoughts. But as we take a look back at the indices, it was really an interesting week. We had a 3-day session. We got a little bit of a relief rally, and then of course that fell flat on its face with a big nasty reversal down on Friday. And it really essentially erased the gains for the week. So for the NASDAQ, we had closed the previous week at 29.87. We finished at 29.82 this previous Friday. So now we were down 5 points for this little 3-day session, even though we were kind of all over the map. But what we did do was further validate this 30-40 level, just as we had previously validated 3100, and I've noted that here for a number of occasions. We saw 30-40 not only serve as support again, like it had back here at the end of the summer, but once we broke through 30-40, we came down, we based for a couple of days, we started to rally, and we came right back up toward that 30-40. We got within less than 7 points of that on Friday, only to reverse back down. So at this point, we've got to continue to watch this recent low, which is at 29.61. If we get through there to the downside, then the next thing that we're likely to gravitate to is this early August gap, which remains unfilled. It goes down to 29.09. However, if we are able to stabilize, 30-40 is the next order of business for this index in terms of reclaiming it on the upside. And by the way, we're still in this lower highs, right, lower lows scenario. That's the environment that we're in. We're trending down. So a few up days, that's not enough to shift the trend. A trend is going to require, first and foremost, a higher low. So that's what we need to see. We need to see either some stabilization or some gradual lift or a sharp spike up, which is then met with enough buying on the next pullback that the higher low is then established. That's what we first need to see, and we're of course not there yet. So it's still a time to maintain great caution, especially as we come into the most highly anticipated event of the year, which is the presidential election on Tuesday. Moving on to the S&P, 1414 has been an important level here. I've noted it here a number of times. We finished right there again last week. We also came back up and tested this 1426 from below, and we really couldn't hold back above it. We got briefly through it on Thursday and into Friday morning, but couldn't hold it. We gave it right back up. So at this point, continue to watch this 1395 zone. That's the next line of support for this index. And then if we tumble through that, we've got room down to this August 2nd close, which is around 1365. So definitely some levels to continue to watch there. But again, still some lower highs and lower lows in place for the S&P. For the Russell, this small cap index remains caught in this downtrend channel. Last week it did rally back up toward this 833 area. It stopped just shy of it. We also saw this descending trend line converge right into that same zone, and that provided too much resistance and a very hard reversal back to the downside intraday on Friday from the morning high to where we finished, which was really right at the dead low of the session. So we've got this 807 that's kind of been near-term support. We'll continue to watch that. And then we've got the Dow, which 13.3 has been a big level. I've noted it a number of times, and we rallied back up to test it from below, only to stop just 11 points shy of that with Friday's high 13.289, and then reverse really hard back to the downside about 200 points from the high of the session to where we closed. So really an ugly reversal there, but again, further validating another key level for this index. So we've got this 12,977 down here that I think is really the next zone to watch. That was from the very beginning of September. We'll keep an eye on that, and if we do of course, crack through that level, we've got other levels that we'll continue to keep an eye on the way back down. And then finally is the VIX, which is the volatility index, or kind of the fear measurement out there. As the VIX rises, stocks tend to fall, or vice versa, which really leaves an elevated VIX much more highly correlated to market bottoms and turning points from lows back up. Now at this point, the VIX is not really in an extreme reading at all. We need to really get past 30 or 40 on the upside to really indicate that fear has reached more of a climax. But we do need to take note that support down here at 1350 has held. We broke through this descending trend line 2 weeks ago, and then last week we pulled right back down to test it, only to bounce on Friday. So that really just kind of validates this breakout for now. It's something we need to keep on the radar. If we get north of this 20 and start making a new high for the VIX, then maybe it's free to start accelerating a little bit faster to the upside. So for now, just something to kind of keep on the back burner, keep an eye on it, because there's a great deal of uncertainty and a little bit of concern out there as we've been creating these lower highs and lower lows, and perhaps this week, once the presidential election gets out of the way, and those of us who traded back in 2000, we know what it's like to not have a presidential election resolved by the day after. Hopefully we get that this week and we do get a resolution to this, and maybe that removes one element of uncertainty from this market. So continue to wait for the charts. It's not a time to be placing hero trades. Let the market stabilize. Wait for better opportunities, because they will come along. Thanks for joining me for this video. I will have more for you soon, but until then, trade like a bandit.